Hi, my name's Will and I'm talking to Frank and Yulo from Lion and Leinster about the refurbishment. Looking back at when we first got in touch with you, we said we probably need 2 bedrooms refurbished. We're thinking about maybe having a wall taken down. We need a new kitchen. They were the first issues that we saw because this property needed really an extensive refurbishment. This was a property that we had viewed on the estate agent's website on 2 occasions. As you know, the backstory of this is that we had, and how we met you, was that we saw another property that you had refurbished that was on the market but under offer. And if we had not seen that property and seen what you had achieved, transforming something that was a derelict shell into a beautiful refurbishment, we would never have looked at this. So when we saw this, and it needed a lot of work, it had flock wallpaper, it had not been touched for over 30 years, we realised that if you were going to actually turn this into a 21st century home, you couldn't tweak it. You had to start from scratch, and if you were going to do a job, you needed to do it properly. So we decided that actually let's go for broke and let's turn this into something that we can all be proud of. We were quite relaxed, but I think that's because we didn't realise it was such a significant project. We have had quite a lot of work done in our house, and of course this house is for our daughter. So at the start, and also because we had been given such a detailed and personalised scope of work, we had a pretty good understanding of what was going on, what was going to happen. But actually it wasn't until the journey began that we realised that this was a pretty big deal. And so there was perhaps 8 weeks into it, we were more anxious about it than we were at the start. We were actually very laissez-faire when it first started. Obviously, the big deal breaker was seeing the refurbishment that you had performed on a property that was less than 200 yards from here. That day, when we saw the property, we had been going around with our daughter, and it was something like the 5th property we'd seen, and the others were, yeah, that had some potential, that was okay, but that wasn't quite right. And then there's Mark, who actually bought the property, who is on one of your previous videos, who acquired it, said when you walked in, it was a completely different ball game, and our daughter fell in love with it, and she was just walking around imagining living in there, and she was so disappointed when we realised that actually it was already under offer and it wasn't for us. But it was that moment when we realised that actually we didn't have to look for something that was perfect. We had to look for something that had potential. And we saw that the people who had transformed that property could do the same for this property. And we never looked for anyone else because we could already see the quality of workmanship was there, the imagination that had been involved in these beautiful kitchen, beautiful bathrooms. And Abby, the very first email I sent you, I said, all Abby wants is she wants it exactly like that property. She wants nothing different, all the same. And so that was what led us to choose, because effectively for us, that was a show home demonstrating your ability and your team's ability to be transformative builders. Brilliant. I mean, the communication, as others have said, has always been exemplary with Lion and Leinster. You very kindly agreed to come and review the property before we put an offer in, which I know is exceptional in your case, but demonstrates your commitment to your clients even before they've engaged your services. You came and gave us your advice as to what needed to be done and whether this was something you'd be happy to take on. Based on that provisional recommendation. We put an offer in for the property and acquired it. And then we sat down, we went through that brilliant scope of works. So it was all laid out, no nasty surprises around the corner. And one of the big differences with your scope of works, we've had several builders over the years, but a lot of them will use a sort of a template, and it's the same for everyone, and they don't bother to go through individual items. You had actually gone through and mentioned the specific things that my daughter had wanted, like the medial wall, like the brick slips for her study space, and it was all there. And so we both knew exactly what was going on, and indeed it was so detailed that things that we thought we were going to end up paying for, we didn't end up paying for, because you came back and said, actually guys, that was in the scope of works as on our side, not on the client side. And thereafter, your use of WhatsApp meant that there was this daily dialogue. In fact, we missed you. If we didn't hear from you from 2 days, we'd say, where are the boys? We haven't heard from them. So with this daily dialogue, any problems that needed to be addressed, I think it helped that we weren't living on site. I think it would have been impossible to do this project trying to live in it at the same time. But because we weren't too far away, it meant the problems were addressed in a timely manner, and there was no problem that couldn't be solved by you. No, I mean, the timescale was perhaps ended up being a bit longer than we thought, but that was probably our fault, because we kept on saying, well, can we have this, can we have that? And you were very accommodating. So, no, fortunately we didn't have time pressure on this project. So it took as long as it took. And as you, Frank, have always said, we've got to get this right first time. And so we were quite prepared to wait for as long as it took. And, quality work sometimes takes a bit longer. And sourcing the right materials and getting the right sort of finish takes time. And so we were very happy with the way it went through from start to finish, and the end product exceeded our expectations. It was better. It's a bit like when the Sistine Chapel was finished. Michelangelo probably thought, wow, even I didn't think it was going to look that good. So yes, I mean, I remember where you stood with my daughter, exactly where you are standing now in this shell of a house, and you showed her one of your 3D renderings of the medial wall and what it was going to look. She said to me when it was all finished, she said, how do they do that? How do they make it look better than what Frank showed me? And that was very important, the way you were able to help guide us, because you've done this lots of times. We've never done a whole house refurbishment like this before. So it was brilliant the way that it turned out, and that along the journey you discover or you see things that you couldn't see when it was first being developed. And at every step of the way, if we said, could we do this? Could we move this wall? Could we get rid of this wall? There was never that sort of, oh, we can't do this. I know Bob the Builder, the children's TV series, had already used the catchphrase, but can we build it? Can we fix it? Can we mend it? That should have been Lion and Leinster's catchphrase, because everything that we suggested, you achieved for us. I think our expectations were certainly exceeded. I mean, we thought, well, we'll have nice walls, we'll have a nice finish, but all the extra things that evolved during the project, which you suggested, like the coving lighting, just made a good project a brilliant project. And this was the point of difference between Lion and Leinster and other builders. We've had other builders who have been technically very good at what they do. Some were particularly good at carpentry, some were particularly good at structural work, and they'd say to the structural engineer, do you really need to put an engineered wall here, or can we get away with a beam? And but none of them would actually change the path that had been set out on the scope of works. What the point of difference with you and Julio is that you actually also have that ability to act as interior designers. You will suggest things that we would never have thought of, things like the brick wall slips for the study area, and all those sort of features were things that we would never have included. And as the project developed, we saw this chrysalis turning into this beautiful butterfly that was far better than the thing that we thought we would ever see emerge from the pupa. Yeah, I mean, project management, brilliant, support, unimpeachable. There were moments when we felt under some pressure when decisions had to be made because the project couldn't move forward. But those decisions, we were always guided by you. And if we couldn't make a decision or there was a hold up, we didn't feel pressured or uncomfortable in that we couldn't assist you in as timely a manner as you and the team wanted to get on. So yeah, to do this without someone like Lion and Leinster guiding us would have been impossible. And it does make you realise when you watch something like Grand Designs how everyone should have a Lion and Leinster in the background, because trying to do it without would be impossible. Communication, obviously, responsiveness to our requests, and just really keeping us up to date with where we were, and also, making those suggestions to improve what was already a very good project. It's almost like asking which is your favourite child, isn't it? It's very difficult because there's that wow factor in every room that you go to. You look at the kitchen and think, wow. You go to the bedrooms and the bathrooms and you go, wow. And you go into the lounge and you go, wow, wow. So I think the whole thing, the whole package was just very special. Well, they'd like to move in. So would we actually. We offered Abby our house so that we could have this one. I mean, for her, it's going to serve her very well for several years. So everyone has been amazed because they've also seen the pictures of before and after, and you really wouldn't recognise it as the same property. So, and we have had, other people have certainly said, well, if we're going to get anything done, can we get in touch with them? Of course they can. Absolutely. I mean, this property would not have benefited from anything less than what has been done, but it's turned the good into the exceptional with the additional tweaks that you and Julio suggested. And for us, this was an investment for our daughter. This was going to be her first home, and she is very fortunate that she had such a brilliant team behind her that enabled her to realise her dreams. Brilliant. It was really good. I mean, each of the boys in the team was extremely good at their trade, and of course they were overseen by Canon, who's really the Swiss Army knife of trades. He can do everything. He can plumb, he can electric, he can plaster, and he also has very high standards. And there are things that I didn't spot that Canon would spot. He said, I'm not happy with that. I said, well, I didn't really notice that. So the bar that you set was extremely high. And everything that we ever wanted was always completed to the highest possible standard. And you can see that in the property when you go around. You can see that everything just looks so crisp and so finished and so nice. Like you're stuck in a hurricane, 'cause everything around you just keeps on. I think it was probably the denouement when Abby had came in, having not seen the property for some time. And it's that thing where you have this imagination. You can see what the property is going to be like, but until you actually see what the property is, it's very difficult to actually conceive of how good it can look. So yeah, it's brilliant. Go to Lion and Leinster. I think you need to find someone who can give you all their experience and all their suggestions, and also back it up with a team of highly skilled trades. And I'm sure there are other companies out there like Lion and Leinster, but we've yet to meet them.
Feeling like you're stuck in a hurricane, 'cause everything around you just...
Yes, certainly as I've mentioned before, the extremely detailed scope of work meant that we knew exactly what was our responsibility on the client side and what was your responsibility on the company side. Where possible, you'd always advise us to on the most cost-effective option, but one without reducing costs. We had the issue of having had a downstairs stud wall removed, meant that the fire risk was increased upstairs. Two options were to get an exorbitantly expensive sprinkler system installed. The other was to have the upstairs windows changed. You negotiated with building control and they said one or the other, and that probably saved us about £10,000. So that was a great saving. And as is mentioned, there were issues there which we were expecting, for example, to pay for the stair refurbishment, but you rang us up and said, actually guys, that's on our side. So that integrity that has always been apparent was very much to the fore in helping us to ensure that we got what we wanted, but we didn't overpay for it. I'm quite sad it's over. It's been a very, at times stressful, but very enjoyable and productive journey. And I was thinking, you know, if you're an advertising executive, what would you say for Lion and Leinster? And the thing that came to mind, you know, the Marks and Spencer's advert, this is not just food, this is Marks and Spencer's food. This is not just a builder, this is Lion and Leinster.